Mr. Alan in the world of toys. Boxings and museums, reviews and reviews. Mr. Alan in the world of toys. Unboxings and museums, reviews and reviews. Mr. Alan in the world of toys. When I was a kid, one of my favorite toys were the WWF Asper figures. So today, I like so much wrestling retro figures. One of the best company today that create awesome wrestling retro figures is KWK brand. Is KWK brand. So my guest tonight is the one and the only Shawn from KWK brand. Welcome back, Shawn, to my show.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm happy to have you back because you see, I'm happy to have you back actually because since the last time we meet together in my show, you launch a lot of new stuff, a lot of new good figures. So
Right.
can't wait to take a closer look of everything that was announced over the months, and also today I saw something really cool.
Yeah.
So let's start with I think the first figure that I want to talk with you that is available in some retailers right now is an iconic character for the new generation era. Is Japanese superstars. Is the action figure, official figure of Bull Nakano. So let's show you the figure right now. Remove this one. There we go. This Bull Nakano figure. So tell me
I have the production sample with me if you want to have a look at it.
Absolutely. Show you.
The production sample. The main problem now is the eyes, and we fixed that this past week. I really hated the fact that, when the factory first did these samples, they made Bull Nakano looking like a panda, even though I know Bull Nakano loves pandas. So yeah, that just didn't fly with me. So went down and had to deal with that for quite a bit. The one thing I really liked though was that how they did with the top with the decal work. That this is done really, really well. I have to say. So we're having a slight delay, but I do expect them to be shipped out sometime in the first week of November, hopefully.
Okay.
So I think that's what we are targeting at. Yeah.
Tell me some behind the scene of the make of this figure. So you meet Bull Nakano before, Bull Nakano before to do the figure?
I haven't met Bull Nakano personally. I reached out to her online.
Okay.
So, we talked and we basically ironed things out through online. Very smoothly for the most part. So, hasn't really been an issue, so to speak. The thing is, you have to understand, I cannot fly to, say the US and Japan all the time to meet with these talents. So, the only way for me to do it a lot of times is send out feelers. I do have a lot of times, help, from various stages. In terms of negotiation, a lot of times. In fact, I'm working on a talent that believe it or not, for people that think, oh, we all in the same industry and try to kill everybody, try to kill each other. Matt Maniacs has been great with us, and is actually a great friend to the brand. they help out with talents. We tend to um trade the quote unquote secrets, um, you know, in terms of the talents and things like that. In fact, I think recently we both went into negotiation with one particular talent. So, you know, um, to think a lot of times that oh, we keeping secrecy and things like that. And I do admit there have been quite a few companies that will do that because avoiding competitiveness or whatever you want to think of that. But there are many that you know you need help to reach out and things like that. They go, hey, you know what? I got this connection. Your line will be beneficial. You want to go with that? Things like that. So pretty cool. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So let's see also the next figure that I want to talk with you, so you can give us the update. I need to, because actually it's the first time that I use the Mac for this stuff, but probably because I have another picture of other figures. Maybe I need to open another. Meanwhile, I talk a little bit and open another picture because it's the first time I use. I changed my laptop. Before I used the laptop, the computer, the PC, and now I use I decided to use the Macintosh because works better, but I need to learn a little some stuff to.
I mean, they said Mac works better with graphics and stuff. So
yeah, but I need to learn how to do the slideshow because I discovered it's a little bit different than the computer. For example,
yeah,
now
PC. I mean, I'm so used to working something on a PC. If you asking me to do things on a Mac, I'll be like, what am I doing?
Yeah, because they have a different. It's like a different animal, actually.
Right.
PC, instead of let's say, I think it's better. I think I know because I use slideshow with computer is a little bit easier, but now I open another picture. I think I need to open one by one or every picture for the. But meanwhile, I can talk about with you with this figure. I want to talk with you about the Berserker figure. What is the situation with Berserker figure? Meanwhile, I insert the picture.
The Berserker figure. See, I have it right in front of me.
Better than my picture, I think.
Yeah, I have the yellow card and the blue card version. So both of these here.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, I think Berserker is by far one of our best figure this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we went into this and I looked at it and I said to the team, I said, this should be one of our best figure this year. And for the people that received the figure, the reviews have been great. Sure, there are small issues here and there, perhaps for the Minton card collectors that there's an issue with the bubble, the figure may be too heavy, so things like that. But I think overall, as far as the figure itself, I think it was great, and it shows from the anticipation of the collectors.
Yeah.
So this makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Also, I remember when you revealed that and you did some in your official KWK page. They do something really we need as a collector because the old WWF Hasbro Berserker was too short for a big guy like Berserker, and you did an upgrade for that.
Personally for me, the Berserker for the Hasbro did not do Shawn any justice.
Yeah,
that's how I felt about it. Some people may say, hey, you know what, we don't need another Berserker, but for the people who received it, their feedback is, hey, this is how Berserker should have looked when when the figure was made. Um, the thing was, when we went into this whole idea, we wanted to look back and go, hey, you know what? Should we go back to the whole idea of the double clothesline?
Yeah.
And that was right away something that I went with. And I talked to my sculptor Joe, and I said, maybe we should go with that, but do not make the top removable. So the top is sculpted on, because at the end of the day, why do we need it sculpted on when majority of the time that the berserker was wrestling in the ring, he wasn't even taking it off.
Yeah.
So instead of like how the Hasbro did, with the soft good, we just went with that. All right, Caleb, how you doing? And one of the thing is the way I looked at it was, how can we make it different, but at the same time make it look good? So the that was the idea that we went in. So when we look back in the Berserker, for the Hasbro, it basically just used the Hacksaw Jim Duggan mold.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and we it wasn't John. John was a lean and jacked dude.
Yeah.
So when I look back at that, and he wasn't that short. So the figure, it was short. It wasn't anything close to menacing. The Berserker gimmick was supposedly a crazy Viking looking dude that was menacing. But
Yeah.
you look back at that figure, you're just kind of like, it wasn't quite there. So we basically went ahead with what we tried to showcase, try to celebrate with Jordan Art, and having it right next to, say, the Hasbro Undertaker. That's exactly what we went with, and it looks absolutely great right next to the Undertaker Hasbro, in my opinion.
I agree with you also, because I never understand why they did on Hasbro the removable cloth, the removable soft goods for Berserk.
Right.
That he never have a match without a tunic. So it was really weird, the choice. I really don't know why they
Right.
do.
I
But
mean,
sometimes,
when you're a company, when you talk company, you try to save cost any way you can. And for a big company like Hasbro, I'm sure that's the angle that it went with. But even for us, right? There are times where I will have to look at the cost and things like that. But no matter what, I still went all out. Like the amount of sculpting that we do on each of the figure. I mean, rarely you will see we reuse any molds. I mean, off the bat, the only couple ones that we have reused the molds were Mantar and PNUs. That was the only one that we have done so far. And I think what will happen is that the Orient Express, in terms of Patanaka and Great Kabuki, they will be sort of sharing some parts of the sculpt. That will be like the second one. I'm not counting Max Moon and the Comic Kid, because it's essentially the same person. So that obviously you will have to use the same one pretty much. Yeah.
I like also this idea to reuse the tooling also when it is necessary, and not over and
Right.
over. Because if you know, also even Mattel Retro, they use too much the same tooling over and over. For
Right.
character, they have different shapes. So it's the reason why I, I prefer collect something that from an independent that take care of the shape of the also the of the scaling also.
I mean, honestly, for example, right, we got Flash Funk, right, for
So,
this month, pre-order. How are you going to have reusing the tooling of Flash Funk? You can't. The entire body, the entire figure is unique.
yeah,
So there's absolutely no way. I mean, I know people were complaining about the head and things like that. Don't worry, we're fixing it. In fact, I'm sending the prototypes back today, so the factory can rework some of the stuff. Um, I sat down and had an extensive talk with factory owner this past week. So yeah, there's going to be changes. You're going to see. Oh, you probably will see it go. Oh, this is much better than before. Yeah.
there is a question for you in the chat from Caleb, and he says, "I've got a question. How you determine who gets added to each wave? Like for example, mentor and pin news sharing paths. Why not have one of them in another wave?"
Um. Okay. So I had a request for PN News before. Actually, in fact, the last week. For Mentor, I had my reasons, which I'm not gonna share. But for PN News, if we're gonna make another PN News, then that means he'll probably gonna have to dot blue with the lightning. So that's one of the other gear that he has worn, and I think there may be another one that we can do. But it's the matter of, okay, we have done PN News already. Do we need another PN News? Is the question.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Whereas Mantar, on the other hand, is that there's a part of me that I want to, but at the same time, contractually, um I don't think I can do him.
okay.
Even though it's still under contract, but there are stuff that I still um need to discuss, and it's just something that I'm not ready for. Let's put it this way. Yeah.
However, your mentor was one of the best retro figure in my opinion. Both version really accurate, super cool. I want to talk with
It's the first one that we've done, and to me was that I needed to knock it out of the ballpark.
yeah,
So that was something that we went with. And now, if I were to do it today, will it be $45? Probably not. Probably even higher because of that bullhead alone. That
yeah,
cost money. Like,
yeah,
if people thought that I make a whole bunch of money, doing Mantar, in fact, for any of the figures really, um, they're mistaken.
yeah,
But
because
there's always this conception thinking, oh, you're charging this much and all that. Look at the limited availability for that figure. You
yeah,
know, we roughly did about 600 on that figure, but the cost of it that went in was absolutely insane. So, yeah,
exactly.
there are people that will hold a certain opinion when they don't know production, when they don't know IP fees, amongst other stuff. So, what can you do?
Yeah, but that is typical for every business, also from writing or from music, because when you publish a book, the people don't know uh, what effort you need to put behind to release a book, how many drafts, how many time you need to spend
Hmm.
to release a book. Is the same for every business. The people that are not inside the business, they don't know the cost behind the scene, the effort, the how hard
Hmm.
you need to work to create everything. No, that's
Hmm.
typical. There is another comment, appreciation for you for your
Right.
figures, Mentor was my favorite figure of 2024, and Ox Baker is definitely up there from my favorite figure this year. Says for you.
I have to say, I loved how Oxbaker came out. I really did. And when there were a couple of people asked about, hey, how come it didn't come with the stretcher? How come it didn't come with the tank top? And I mentioned it to somebody, and I said, look, number one, are you willing to pay over $40 for Oxbaker if it comes with a stretcher and a vest? You probably won't, because when we first came off Oxbaker, people were already saying, that's not a figure that I want to go with right away.
Yeah.
Because people were already thinking, what the hell am I going to do with an Oxbaker? Right? And there were quite a few people that mentioned that. And then Oxbaker came out, and I thought to myself, okay, you know what? How can I make Ox pop? I mean, the figure itself already popped, I mean, look at the head, right? Look at the head. How does it not pop? This is actually a production sample, so the eyes are actually smaller. But how does the head not pop right away? And then I thought about it and go, maybe the chest hair is where it makes it pop, right?
Yeah.
So I went with that as well. And right away, I knew, in my opinion, that this will look great. And it did turn out really well, even without any of the accessories and the price point. The thing was, when we put it out on pre-order, it was $28.99. And for the in stock is where we raised it up to $32.99, and people still ate it up. So the market speaks for itself. That yes, we did produce less for Oxbaker because the initial anticipation wasn't great, but I can tell you we don't have a lot of Oxbakers left.
Oh, okay, great.
And if people thought you want to wait and wait and wait, don't. Because once they're gone, they're gone. I'm not making any more Oxbakers.
It will be the same problem like Mentor. If you miss Mentor, now it's difficult.
Right, it's the same thing with Mentor. How a lot of people went, oh, I should have jumped on it. Oh, I have the FOMO and stuff. Well, I warned you guys. The pre-order amount is what we're gonna do, and that's it. So it's like there were a couple of lost conquistadors and things like that that went fast. The initial run of the Comic Kid, same thing. When people are thinking, oh, you know what, I may want to wait. Okay, you do the waiting, and we just gonna produce an X amount. So once they're gone, they're gone. So don't come back to me and said, oh, you should produce more. Well, you guys didn't want it at first. What do you expect me to do, right?
Yeah. And now let's give some update about an amazing tag team. Let's see if now you can see. I'm talking about, yes, you can see the Orient Express.
Right. We are going to have the tooling done soon. I have actually just confirmed the wax prototype actually 2 days ago. Now here's a funny thing. One of the members of my team, Max, he does the packaging and things. So he does a lot of the graphics and stuff, and he was playing around with the with the images of the prototype last night, and he made the white version of Orient Express.
Oh, great.
So I was like, maybe I should post it up and see if there are people interested in that. I mean, we did the red Max Moon, and this is it. I mean, I don't even have any stocks left, on the shop KWK anymore, because we did a small amount on this, and I think there's some distributors that still have them, but personally, for me, for the KWK brand itself, we don't have any left.
Yeah,
So, the only way you can get them right now is through distributors, and that's it. And I don't even think they have a lot left.
yeah, yeah.
So, so
The
you
red
know,
one, for example, in the Italian distributor, I saw the blue one, but not the red one. The red one, I think, is sold out.
yeah, the red one is, it's there are small amount, and no matter how you look at it, that's just what. And I want to apologize in advance about not sending you the figures. Um, I've been so busy, I still haven't got around to anything to deal with that. But I definitely will get around to that. So I promise you on it.
Okay.
Um, it's I think sometimes these fantasy gear is interesting for some collectors. So will a white one work? I don't know. I'll post it up. I'll post it up next week and see if people will bite. I mean, this was clearly done by accident, because we thought it was going to be funny and turn Max Moon in red to suit the theme for Chinese New Year. I
Yeah.
wasn't planning on releasing this at first, and I got like 20, 30 messages asking, "Hey, are you going to release this?" And I'm like, maybe I'm onto something, so why not, right?
Yeah.
So I did, and people started buying it. Yeah.
Cool. I want to talk about another figure that was, I believe, it was announced today. So let's see if I find the images, the pictures. I think this one. Let's see. Drum roll. If you see if it works. Yes. Dory
Dory
Funk
Funk Jr.
Jr., Host Funk. So
Yes.
when we
We
can have
Yeah.
in this figure, what is the schedule for this figure?
November 1st is the pre-order, so essentially it's in 5 days. Um, we we literally just finished the paintwork on this earlier this week. So when I first saw them, there were a couple of things I didn't like. For example, the hair, the chest hair, and things like that. When at first the chest hair wasn't as heavy, so I actually asked to increase the amount of hair on the body. So obviously that needs a little bit of fixing. It's a prototype, it's normal. Um, the hair though, initially it was just brown, which I didn't quite like. So I asked the factory, and I wanted to at least have a layer, so it doesn't look like so bland with like one single color. And we did that for Berserker. We did it for a couple of the figures, and the layers make the figure, in terms of the head, it makes it look pop. So and I think it was last week is when we looked at the possibility of different gear, so different colors of accessories and gear. So I mean, let's be honest, Story has only one blue, red, and black.
Yeah.
So there are a little bit of boot difference and things like that. So um I looked at it and go, okay, you know what we can do with this boot. So say for example, the red has a red and black boot, and I looked at the um the blue trunks that Dory wore. Um a lot of times there were two different colored blue. So one particular blue, darker one, and one that's a lighter one. So instead of just do it plain black, which is going to be pretty bland for figure, I thought, okay, you know what? Why don't we do two different blue? So a darker blue that went with the Hoss Funk, and the lighter blue that went with his earlier run, when he was running hard with the NWA. So this brings a lot of difference, um, subtle difference. And then I thought to myself, okay, when Dory was Hoss Funk, right?
Yeah.
He had the beard, he looked more rough looking and whatnot. So I go, okay, you know what? I told the factory that for this one, make sure you have the beard, the stubbles, and things like that. Now, if you look at it, it's actually the same head, but adding that makes it look a little different.
Yeah.
So, that was something to be thought of. And then, the belt. Now, for the two regular figures, so basically for the Dory Funk figures, they come with the belt. For Hoss Funk, it doesn't come with the belt. It comes with the burro. So, to make it more fitting on each and every one while we're not going absolutely crazy with the accessories at the same time. So, there's a little bit of differences on each one to make it worthy for collectors to purchase.
Absolutely. So if someone prefer the AWA version, we buy that version, or maybe they buy both if you want to.
Right, exactly. Or if they want to buy all three, which is great. And I know there are guys that will buy all three.
So let's talk about another beautiful figure. Let's see if I can put the picture immediately. You need to know. Yes, I need to share the screen for that. But I start to talk. Tell me something about the update for Barry Horowitz figure. Actually, guys, you can find on this channel an interview with Barry Horowitz they did during the pandemic moments. So check it out. Also, my interview with Barry Horowitz. Awesome dude, awesome nice guy. But tell me something about the Barry Horowitz figure.
We have done okay with Barry. We've done okay with Barry. Not as great as I hoped, but we did okay. I think majority of the collectors enjoyed it. The pose worked well. I know there was some that wanted him to be able to do the pat on the back, but we want to do away with that and focus more on the more traditional sort of Hasbro sort of esque sort of feel. So that's something that we went with. Overall, I think people enjoyed it.
Yeah, there is a question in the chat by Caleb. I have a question about Great Kabuki. Would it come with the mask and the mist, or would be two variants of accessories?
Okay, so that was something that we finalized this past week with the factory. So he will come with two different heads. One with the head that does the mist, another head that doesn't. So, a more angry look on one of them. The other one is the one that had the mouth going like this and, do the mist. And for accessories, it will also come with nunchucks. So that was something that was discussed over this past week. The mask, we going to not include it. So the initial showing of the head mask that was a full head, we're not going to go with that. The reason for that is because most people probably don't quite remember that head, whereas a lot of people can be related to the face mask, to the face paint, so to speak. So that's something that we go with. And yes, it will come with three variants, so three different colors.
Okay, I go back a little bit to the Orient Express. Now we have scheduled Tanaka and Kaito, but there is some chance to have in the future also Saito.
Well, there were a couple of people that reached out to me asking about Saito. Never say never, but because the sculpting will have to be completely different to the ones that we do. So, I kind of stayed away from that. Because when it's just Kato and Pat Tanaka, they wore pants. Whereas when Tanaka and Saito together, they were wearing long tights. So, if that's the case, that also means I will have to change Tanaka as well. So, it's not that simple if you understand what I mean. So, in terms of the scouting process, which is why I sort of stayed away from Sato. But is there a possibility? Always. There's always is.
I think another character, now that you release Berserker, it could be, everybody can say, wow, now it's time for Mr. Fuji, because we don't have an actually official retro figure of Mr. Fuji. Should be
Well,
cool.
the main problem with Mr. Fuji is that he I think the S-State has a deal with WWE right now. So
Okay.
if they release Mr. Fuji in a retro form, then it could right away go with the Berserker. So
Okay. And what is the situation? Some question about behind the scene. Now we have a lot of you have a lot of competitor now for the
right.
retro figures. And so if you want to do, for example, now you did a figure about a Berserker. If you want to
Right.
do another character, uh, only one company can have a license for a character, or is possible that more than one company can buy the license for a character?
It all depends on the negotiation process. So for example, we have Dink coming out next year.
Oh, great.
And we have the exclusive deal for Dink in retro form.
Cool.
So that means no other company can make him unless we basically allow it, then yes, but otherwise no. Majority of the times talents don't sign exclusive deals. We just sort of got lucky, and I didn't even suggest it, and Dink side, they suggested it.
Yeah.
So and even part of me was thinking, hey, you know what, you sure you want to do this? It's sort of stopping you from making more money, right?
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, we want to do that to make sure there's that exclusivity there and things like that. So what was I supposed to say, right? It's their call, not mine. Majority of times the talents will not want exclusivity. That's just what it is.
Okay.
But I tend to stay away from deals where hey, you know what, if you already have a deal with another company making retros on your figure, I try not to do that. But I have broken that a few times, say for example with Bad News Brown, for example.
Okay. I saw, let me know if I'm incorrect, but I think that I saw on your Instagram page an announcement about future retro or ring figure. I'm right?
Right.
Tell me something about this project.
It was something that I have been looking at for the past year and a half. And I was always thinking of the potential of the O-ring figures. And for the people that don't know what O-ring is, I have a Sun Slaughter figure in front of me, so try not to think about anything involving the anus. Somehow people link O-ring to an anus, for example. The O-ring is basically the elastic band inside the body that connects to the torso and the bottom half of the body. The elastic band itself is called the O-ring. So,
Okay.
like I said, nothing to do with anything involving the anus, for people to jump on that. But yeah, I mean, I bought the Sandra Slaughter figure simply because I want to, I want to see how how close we can, we can sort of align with something like this. So it's in the works. I wasn't planning on announcing that so early. I was going to announce it until February, until sort of the competitor sort of forced my hand to announce it. So I mean, I have been working on this for a long time, and I think Kyle Peterson, for example, was one of those guys that mentioned that I sort of feel bad for me, but hey, business is business, and I completely understand that. And for our version of the O-ring, I'm sure that at the very least, I will try to knock it out of the ballpark, which closer to the predecessors, obviously. Will they come with accessories? Absolutely. So don't worry about Berserker not having a shield or sword. Don't worry about Jake the Snake Roberts not having snakes, for example. You hear me using S, so probably more than one snake. Things like that.
Great.
So a lot of thought process is going in for sure on this.
So can't wait to see what is coming. But now I
can't wait too.
But I want to put you in a new segment of my show. It is like a little game. And to introduce this game, there is another Mr. Alan for another dimension. So let's show you the trailer for this segment by my anti-Mr. Alan.
Anti-Mr. Alan, an alternate version of Mr. Alan. Let me introduce a brand new segment of the show called Shooting the Guest. During this segment, Mr. Alan, yes, him, the weirdo dressed in black, will say 2 words, and the guest must choose only one of them. The segment will continue until the guest has had enough.
Okay, this is our rule.
Okay, I have enough.
Now you need to try. Just
I'm messing with you. Go
ahead. So, AEW or WWE?
Oof, I got friends on both sides, man. WWE.
Terry Funk or Dory Funk?
Ooh, you're putting me in a tough spot, aren't you? I'll say Dory because I know Dory and Marty personally.
Okay, Hulk Hogan or Andre the Giant?
Andre, definitely Andre.
Bam Bam Bigelow or Mr. Hughes?
Oh, come on. Has to be Bam Bam.
Let's see. Macho Man Randy Savage or The Ultimate Warrior?
Savage, hands down.
Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart?
Bret, definitely Bret.
Dr. Harvey Whippleman or Jim Cornette?
Oh, come on. Come on. People know I'm in the cup of Cornette, so definitely Cornette.
Big Van Vader or Earthquake John Tenta?
Vader. I'm a big Vader mark.
Vader. I think you can do a great figure of Vader maybe one day.
Well, it's not like I haven't talked to his son before, but in terms of price tag and amongst other stuff, they have a deal with WWE right now. I can't do much with it, so we'll have to wait and see.
Let's see, Repo Man or Papa Shango?
Papa Shango.
And let's see, let's try to do a deep cut. Ace Stacks Calhoun or Giant Ace Stacks?
Oof. I'm gonna say that based on the work rate, Giant Haystacks for sure.
Okay, the Grand Wizard of Wrestling or Classy Freddie Blassie?
Oof. I've watched I've watched Blassie more than I did with Grand Wizard because he passed away even before I was born. So definitely Blassie.
Okay, Bobby the Brain Heenan or Paul Heyman?
Now this one's a tough one.
You know.
For the wittiness and funniness, I would go with Bobby the Brain Heyman. But for the brains, I'll go with Heyman.
Okay. Legion of Doom or Demolition?
Legion of Doom.
Powers of Pain or the Bolsheviks?
Oh, POP, man, come on.
POP should be great. Also, see a version from KWK because I think you can do something great with them. And
I see in the comments, Caleb was asking a question again. All Japan or New Japan? You have to tell me which era. Yeah. If it's right now, New Japan probably would do a lot better than All Japan. 90s, I would say both. Because they really did came out with like absolutely great talents at the time. Maybe New Japan had a slight upper edge because people know I'm a huge mark for Chono and Shinya Hashimoto. But if it was in the 80s, probably All Japan because of the much bigger talent pool. Now, okay. He also asked, I've got last one questions. Do you have talks with New Japan Noah about making figures? Taka being in New Japan and Yoshitatsu being Noah. There were discussions with in fact both Japanese companies. But New Japan is a tough one to talk to because they were screwed over from another company before. So, that makes things hard. But with Noah, I think it comes down to one thing. There's this concern with Noah thinking they may not sell too well on the figures. So, there's this mutual respect, and I actually went to Japan last year twice to talk to them about it. Initially there was something planned, and then they, before a deal was signed, they sort of got cold feet and thought they were a little concerned about not able to sell well enough. Okay. So that's where we sort of left it at the end. But yeah, do I still have a good relationship with Noah? Absolutely. I mean, I got friends working in New Japan as well. Taka, who I manage, also works in New Japan. So, it's that sort of deal, really. Yeah.
I know that we talked about that a little bit the last time we meet each other, but tell me something more about your other work as a manager in wrestling business. Tell me something how start and how different.
Well, I manage talents. Say for example, Yoshi and I have a great relationship. We were just years ago, in fact. He was asking me about something, and I helped him with it. Taka and I still have a decent relationship. He actually called me and tell me happy birthday, on my birthday. So it's cool. I also managed the first Singaporean female wrestler, Alexis Lee. She calls me dad, just like Yoshi calls me dad. Junjie from Glee, I was just talking to him last night. So, basically right now we have 4 people in the KWK family. Yeah.
Great. And how you start your passion for wrestling? You were a wrestling fan since when you was a kid. You dreamed to work in this field, How was back
Oh,
home?
I have always been a wrestling fan since I was very young. So, you know, always found it interesting and but as I think as I became more friends with wrestlers, you start to see more stuff.
Yeah,
Both the good and the bad, and it makes you wonder that it's just something that I want to go into, for example, as a worker or things like that. Which ultimately I decided not to become a worker. But do I feel that there are ways to support wrestlers? Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is how the KWK brand started, Um, and no actual better way to describe it. That's how it was. It started with wanting to help wrestlers, and I'm glad that we got to stage like this within 3 years. It's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal ride.
absolutely. There is also comments by Caleb. He says, "I truly hope someday we'll get lines for both New Japan and Noah. I've been dying for some figures of people like Yoshihiro, Takayama, and Kojima."
Um, for Takayama, I have actually talked to his management before. Initially, the idea was to release him and Minoru Suzuki in a 2-pack. We couldn't come to terms with it. I sat down with Suzuki and Takayama, manager a few times, and they wanted me to wait until a certain time for me to come back and things, and I when they were telling me, and I said to them straight away, I said, look, I'm not gonna be flying back like on a monthly basis just to sit down for you guys to think about it.
Yeah.
Straight talk. I'm telling you a lot of the inside scoop. That's the thing. And I told him, I said, I'm not gonna be coming back month after month just to wait for you guys to say yes. It all costs money too.
Yeah. Money and
So
time.
right, exactly. So, I said, if you guys want to do it, just contact me and we can work something out. If not, I completely understand that. I left it at that. Kojima, I think he still has to deal with New Japan. So, this is one of those that's sort of tough. I want to do, but it's not as easy. That's why I sort of look through the list of talents of what talents are marketable enough that we can do a certain figure with. Which is why we go with someone like Great Kabuki, Great Sasuke, for example, Aja Kong, have connections with the US market in some form or fashion, or Genichiro Tenryu, for example, right?
Yeah.
These talents have some form of connection with the US market. At the same time, there are still some connections with the Japanese side. So things that we sort of look at.
Yeah. Do you ever consider to do a new retro figure for Giants Gonzalez?
Finding the estate is going to be tough
Yeah.
because the estates are in Argentina, as far as I know. They haven't moved to the US, and Lord knows if they speak English.
Yeah.
Um, I was I think this time last year, I was talking to Eserios, and Eserios do not speak one single bit of English. You would have thought that he actually spoke English because he was working in WWE as Mr. Aguila
Yeah.
and Eserios for at least 2-3 years. He did not speak one bit of English at all.
Oh.
So guess what happened? Google Translate. I had to translate everything from basically from the negotiation all the way to sending over the contract. He still did not sign.
Oh my gosh.
So that's where I go, okay, you know what? I give up. You know, I
It's
wasn't
true.
gonna ask, if he was gonna sign, he was gonna sign. I sort of like went with that.
Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, I think it's. You mentioned to me last time that you was almost close to do a possible figure of Killer Khan, but then he passed away, and the
Right,
deal was done.
right. Yoshi was helping me to line that one. And before we could actually make the appointment, he passed away.
Yeah,
And I felt, oh my God, like, because I closed the deal with Kabuki before that, because Great Kabuki was a lot more accessible in a
yeah,
way. And I've met Great Kabuki a few times. And whereas with Killer Khan, I've never met the guy. And boy, when I found out about it, I go, oh man. Like, imagine a Killer Khan retro. Think
yeah,
about that. A Killer Khan retro would have been fun.
absolutely.
But yeah, I guess it just wasn't meant to be. How you really wanted to go after a girl that you really like, but she would never become your girlfriend. That
Yeah,
sort of stuff. You know, or that kind of stuff. Like like, oh, there's this really hot girl that you want to hit up, and then you found out that she's married. So it's that sort of deal, and it's
let's
just like,
remember
oh
me,
man,
for example.
I felt sad for a few days.
This
Honestly, I felt yeah.
kind of situation remember me, for example, because I'm a musician and writer. A
Yeah.
few years ago, I published a song, and
Yeah.
it was ready to go on TV. And the
Hmm.
anchor was super happy because he loved my song. But the day it was my birthday day, I was ready, but the production stopped the show. This
Mm.
is the end. No, so
Yeah, that is heartbreaking. I can imagine.
yeah, absolutely. As an artist, I pass through this barricade sometimes. No,
Mm.
sometimes you have an adverse fate, and you need to fight against that, rethink you, and find another way to do another project after project. So it's tough, but if you
I
love
mean,
that,
it's like, okay, so it's like, there are a whole list of talents that I want to sign a lot of times, right? And it's not exactly easy because you are far away, and from where these talents are, and there's always going to be this trust issue,
yeah,
when you're international, and you don't get to meet the guy. um Even if you offer money, it they still can be wary. um as much as you want to try to make it happen, if the talent said no, the talent said no.
yeah.
It's what it is.
It's
And I've
more
faced it
difficult.
many times.
It's more difficult when when the talent is alive or try to work with the estate.
It depends. It depends. um I mean, I've worked with estates that really make me pull my hair. Okay. And I have worked with talents that really make me pull my hair too. But at the same time, I've also met with estates that they are very easy to work with, smooth as silk.
Ah,
So, and then you also have to play into the factor that I've also worked with agents that give me headaches, and there are agents that are absolutely easy. So, um I think one of the more difficult parts to work with agents is that there were some talents or estates that faced um issues with some companies that you know basically tell them and go, hey, you know what, if you want to make this figure, you have to pay us a certain amount of money.
yeah.
And that's where these talents or estates are going, oh, hold on a second, how come I gotta pay you? You're making my figure and stuff, right? Now, obviously, right now the business has changed a little bit where there are times where I got offered from some talents and go, hey, you know what? Can I make this figure, for example? Can you make my figure and I'll be happy to pay for it and things. It has happened before. And obviously, once you tell them how much it's going to cost you, they're thinking you scamming me, but it's not. It's the production cost.
Absolutely.
So you're always going to be running into all kinds of these kinds of issues. Like I said, I've had talents that really drove me off the wall, and I've had estates that did the same. So it's the matter of who you talk to, who you deal with,
Yeah.
and each and every single time is how you try to smooth over things.
Yeah.
That's just all it is.
Another comment from Caleb says, "This is me being selfish, but I love some old Japan figures like Kawada and Baba. That's my dream, lol."
Well, okay, if I want to, and that always make me wonder, is that, for example, if I want access to Mitsuharu Misawa, I can. If I want access to John Baba, I know there's a way for me to go with it. But at the end of the day, is to go back and think, are they going to sell
Yeah.
in the current Western market? I mean, it always comes down to that. Baba will probably do okay.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure about Misawa. And whereas Kawada and things, Kawada is not that hard to find. I mean, if I take a trip now to Japan, I'm sure I can talk to Kawada and see if a deal can be reached. Because he owns a ramen restaurant now in Japan. So, basically, if you're able to head over there and just find the time to talk to him, I'm sure that he will be open to talk. But again, it's a matter of the cost. Will the cost be beneficial to the brand? And is it really a huge necessity for him? I mean, we just announced Dory Funk Jr. and we just showed the prototype, and I think a lot of people liked it. There are a few here and there that did not. But I think it's the matter of whether people want those figures. And if the demand is strong enough, hey, you know what? I'll be happy to reach out and finalize a deal.
Okay. I think Giant Baba can sell because it's iconic. Also, for example, I'm basically a WWF old school guy
Right.
as a fan, but I know who Giant Baba was because was so it's like Antonio Inoki,
Right.
if you don't watch the type of wrestling, you know who they are because they are
Yeah.
legends, worldwide legends.
I mean,
So if
I mean, I've always thought about this. Inoki and Baba are two talents that I think collectors will know, but it's the matter of whether they will sell.
yeah,
It's my main concern. Like, even if they sell, but by how many?
yeah,
I honestly, I mean, the other day someone mentioned about Thunderbolt Patterson to me,
yeah.
and I, apparently this person knows his carer, and I said to him, I said, look, hey, this is my email. Have him reach out to me, see if a deal can work. And for Thunderbolt Patterson, he would work well with Ox Baker.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, I thought it's a possibility, but by how many figures is a different issue. How many attires can we make? Because in Ox's case, his head alone is a very, very iconic look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas Thunderbolt Patterson, I wasn't quite sure. You know what I mean? So that does make a difference. Um, I think Baba and Inoki, because of the legendary status, there will be some interest, obviously, but I will really have to be creative in terms of how they look.
Yeah.
So that's where more difficult part is going to be.
Also because Giant Baba needs absolutely a different approach because he's a giant, he's taller. So also speaking of tooling, you need to do something complete different of everything because I think giants like because Berserk is 6'8", but I believe that maybe Giant Baba was a little bit taller, probably.
Yes, absolutely. I think with Baba, in terms of the height, and remember his body scale is different to a lot of people because he was very, very skinny on the top.
Yeah.
So does that fit with the traditional Hasbro figures is also an issue. So in terms of scaling, really, really has to work in some form or fashion. I think Inoki will be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Because he has a quote unquote normal human body.
Yeah.
So, something I would imagine something like a Macho Man, the first Macho Man, or the Rick Martels, or Torso, or the body will work well with Inoki. But for Baba, you have to work something completely new, in my opinion.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
maybe because it will be something really new, something unique, maybe can sell also just for a toy ethics side, because it will be something really new. Maybe can reach out attention also because of that. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, if okay, so right now we have planned to some of the figures to 2027 for the retro line. I mentioned that on Fully Posable the other day that we have signed Conan, for example. So we have both Max Moon. Now,
Cool.
am I going to make a Conan version of Max Moon? Yes. But
Wow.
let's just wait on that, is what I'm saying. So does this mean the tooling of this body is going to be back in the works again? Yes, it is. I'm going to change the head though, and I'm going to add a few more stuff to it to make sure it's a completely different figure, because the basically all the design and things were completely different. So we'll have to rework that. But overall, we probably will have 3 different eras of Conan. So that's for sure.
Awesome.
So going back to you mentioning some of the talents, can they fit in 2027? Sure. I will definitely get around to start hunting names for 2027, maybe around middle of 2026. Because
Cool.
right now 2026 is so packed. Like
Awesome.
absolutely packed right now. We got names for the O-ring. We got approximately 49 and possibly even more for
Wow.
for the exclusives, and things like that for 2026. So, there's a lot of retros coming out from KWK next year.
Wow. Can you anticipate some name?
Oh, let me take that out. I got a list. Man, I have a lot. I think I think a lot of these names were mentioned previously.
Yeah.
So say for example, we got Genichiro Tenryu, Greg Kabuki, Shelton Benjamin, Mario Mancini.
Mario Mancini. I had Mario Mancini on my channel for an interview, I believe, in the beginning of this year. Nice guy, Mario Mancini.
he's also my legal counsel. So, in terms of things that for contracts and things like that, a lot of times, he does tend to give me reminders and go, hey, you know what, this is something you need to add, this is something you need to do. So, he's absolutely, Mario's an absolutely great guy.
Absolutely.
I think there's any way that I can help him, in terms of getting a figure made, I definitely will. And we just have to see how things go from there. These are just the first few, and then I mentioned we got Dink for next year.
Yes.
I have not mentioned the July and June drop.
Okay.
Those I want to keep a little secret. But yeah, I mean, we have the pit bulls next year as well.
Maybe when it's time to reveal those names, come back on my channel. we do that.
Oh boy, we have a whole list coming out next year. I mean, from the limited 500 series to regular line to the Club Kayfabe. The Club Kayfabe, we're gonna have 4 figures coming out next year.
Wow.
Next month we're gonna have Laredo Kid, so that's an exciting one.
Yeah.
I mean, Ken Patera, for example, is gonna be next year. I just remember.
So. Big deal, big legend.
Oh, Ken. Oh, I gotta say, Ken was like, the negotiation process took 8 months.
Wow.
Because he got screwed. Yeah. Oh yeah. Caleb was mentioning about Great Sasuke. Yes, Great Sasuke is coming out next year as well. Yeah, so like I said, a lot of names, internationally, locally, and things like that. We, name it. Alex the Puck Porto, Buddy Landell, those are coming out next year as well.
Awesome. So now we reach our time limits like a match, because I take you more than 1 hour, but before to go to the piano, I want to say that thank you so much to come back to give me and to everybody, because now the show will be available to rewatch every time. I will put also a reel tomorrow, but tell to everybody where the people can reach out KWK on social media to stay tuned for upcoming news.
Definitely visit KWK Brand on Facebook and Instagram. Those 2 are the most active. You can also go to K Shawn NG at X as well. So couple of platforms that you guys can reach out to me, and be sure to come and check out shopkwk.com along with our distribution partners across the world.
Great. So I go to the piano to the final song. Thank you, Shawn, to share with us everything behind KWK. We are so happy that 2026 more is coming. So guys, stay tuned on this channel for more interview in the future and for more KWK wrestling figure. So Shawn, thank you again. But before to say goodbye to everybody, there is a little fun video, dancing video for you guys. So check it out, this outro dancing video. Thanks for watching, my friends. And please smash that button, my friends. Please smash and subscribe. Help this channel to go to 100k subscribers, my friends. It's my dream. Please give me your love, guys. But also, guys, leave a comment and share this video with your friends, guys. But also, my friends, consider become a patron to choose the next content of the channel. And also, my friends, become a member to be my guest in my show. That's right. And now you can see this video, or maybe this other video, or maybe another interview reviews, unboxing, stop motion, tutorial, and more for you guys. So thanks for watching, thank you so much, and subscribe, my friends, and so long everybody, so long my friends.